Happy New Year. I really love to make movies. It's quite strange. You know, you get up early and you go to some god-awful places, but I still like to do it. I like the sense of family on a film. I'm a very family-oriented person in my own private life. And the movie unit is really like a family, especially on a long shoot like this, 12 weeks.
The film is The Fourth Protocol, based on the novel by Frederick Forsyth, who formed a company with Michael Caine to make a screen version of his exciting but disturbing espionage thriller. Forsyth also wrote the screenplay. In April 1986, the film company headed for the snowy regions of Finland to begin filming the Forsyth drama. As an executive producer, Forsyth is embarking on a new chapter in his life.
I'm kind of the new guy. I'm the guy who never made a film before. And I know I have got a damn good crew. And I know that they know exactly what they're doing, how they're going to do it, what's going to happen. And it's like being the guy in the back of a 747 who assumes the four-ring captain up front knows exactly what he's doing, where he's going, how he's going to get there, without the passenger himself knowing. So I am in these two sort of oppositions. On script, I know exactly what I want. How it's to be shot, that's down to John Mackenzie, and how it's to be produced will be down to Timothy Burrell. And I have two good pros there. I'm flying with them.
In this remote region of Finland, 200 miles or so from the border with Russia, a school has been transformed into a KGB training camp. Pierce Brosnan and Alan North prepare for the first scene to be filmed. Brosnan plays a top KGB operative summoned to a highly secret meeting with the chairman of the KGB, who plans to smuggle into the UK a small nuclear bomb, part by part, to be detonated at a site adjacent to an American airbase.
Just go an inch to your right. There, that's good.
The director is John Mackenzie, best known for his London gangland thriller, The Long Good Friday.
Chris, can we do something about his boots? Did you see that?
I mean,
It's something with the boots. I mean, not now, but it's when he, later on, plenty of time, when he's marking across here, he's going to go skidding on his arse if we don't have something under the soles.
I don't
think I've ever done a snow picture before. No. Desert, yes. Hot climate, no, this is the first time. It's nice, I like it. It's not too cold, it's very picturesque. I find it, it's just a new experience.
Finland has got really a landscape, particularly here in the north of the Arctic Circle, in Finnish Lapland, is very similar to what you find outside of Moscow in deep winter. That's to say, Norway is very mountainous. In fact, outside Moscow you get big, flat, wide plains covered with forest. And this can be best emulated right here on the Lap plain of the Arctic Circle in central Finland, northern Finland anyway. It has the same, obviously, snow and ice in winter. It has the forests of pine and birch and larch. And it has that great sort of echoing emptiness that you can get in Russia, which you can't easily get in the smaller countries of Western Europe. And we're going to try and get that onto celluloid. It's not an easy feeling, but it is a great echoing, horizonless emptiness. And it is out of this bleak landscape that comes the conspiracy called Plan Aurora.
Y tus trailers, visita mi canal.
Action!
Major Valery Alexeyevich Petrovsky. At ease. You're a fortunate man, Major Petrovsky. You've been chosen for a mission of the utmost importance. If you are successful, you will return to honors and promotions beyond your dreams. As chairman of the KGB, I am giving you a direct order. You will accept my authority and my authority alone. You will consult neither your camp commandant nor the head of the illegals directorate. Nor will you reveal details of this mission to anyone. Major Pavlov here will be in charge of your briefing. If you have any questions, you will direct them to him. They tell me you are the star of the illegals directorate. You need to be.
As the cool and deadly KGB Major Petrovsky, Pierce Brosnan, the star of the Remington Steele television series, is given his biggest motion picture role so far.
My feelings right this moment. A large brandy would go down rather well. Oh, it's been a good day. Today's the first day of filming, so it's been rather successful. The Finns are rather quiet people. It's pleasant.
Action!
First of all, it was a very good role. Secondly, there's Michael Caine in the film. Thirdly, there's Frederick Forsyth, who wrote the book, who also wrote the screenplay. You can change the order around if you like. There's also John Mackenzie, who I'd worked with before on The Long Good Friday. Well, there's 5 already, so that's enough.
That middle finger to temple.
The bestsellers written by Frederick Forsyth, The Day of the Jackal, The Odessa File and The Dogs of War, have all been made into films. But why did he decide to be so closely involved with the making of The Fourth Protocol, his 5th novel and 7th book?
It's challenging. It's something new. It's something Michael Caine and I felt we could do. We had the property. He has his talent. We thought if we put the two together and got the finance, we could make a good film and a profitable film. And it's a kind of business venture, and it's also an adventure, but I'm not taking it that lightly. I think basically it's a challenge. I love a challenge, and this is a very big one.
To produce the film, executive producers Caine and Forsyth looked to the vast experience of producer Timothy Burrell to ensure their production would run smoothly.
What audience are we aiming for? We're aiming for everybody. This is an exciting movie about an exciting subject. I think primarily it's about the idea that Freddie had when he wrote the book Fourth Protocol. It's an idea that you could actually carry an atomic bomb into a country and explode it. And nobody's really made any sort of movie about that subject before. And it shows the dangers that atomic warfare have now reached in the miniaturization of the weapon. It shows the dangers of some madman, whether he be from the east or west or from any country. If he suddenly decides that he wants to set off an atomic bomb, he can do so. And I think that if the film, though there is no real moral to it, but if the film says something about that particular problem, it will have served a very useful purpose.
If an atomic bomb explodes on an American base, they'll be blamed for a nuclear accident, and the British will kick them out. That will destroy NATO. But if Petrovsky is caught with those components, Russia will be blamed for breaking the Fourth Protocol. Divortion will have forced us back into the Cold War.
Denounce him to the president.
On what evidence?
Well, what about this professor, Krylov?
Krylov?
Krylov.
Krylov would change his story in 5 minutes, if he lived that long. And then Gavorsion would simply destroy me.
Destroy us all.
Gavorsion need not last forever.
I want to die in my bed. No, I can't.
Tus trailers. Visita mi canal.
So, what will you do?
Watch. Wait.
You've got to believe what's happening. You've got to believe that an atomic bomb is being assembled. I think that that is critical. You've got to believe that it could happen. We know that it can happen, but the audience have got to accept that fact. And then, of course, will it happen or not? And We hope that the audience will be kept on the edge of their seats until the end of the movie.
After a week in Finland, the company returned to England, where Michael Caine started work on his role of spy-catcher John Preston in various locations, including London, Milton Keynes, and parts of Essex and East Anglia.
Chris, will you ask if this window is open or shut? They're never going to see it, Lois.
Just to cool you down.
Yeah, I need that. Preston is a government counter-espionage agent of the lower school, not the Mandarin school, but the really dirty work guys. And they're usually taken from, like, SAS officers and paratroop officers. He was in both. And they can, you know, they're quite physical, they can use themselves and everything. And he is sent to find out. The whole idea of the terrorist thing is that you really don't know that there is going to be a terrorist attack. So how do you investigate it before it happens? And it's based on intelligence, just pure intelligence from different people.
Now I land it.
Very good.
Go and get it.
It's an interesting report, John. You're pretty sure about this, I take it?
That somewhere out there there's a Soviet agent assembling an atomic bomb?
Yes. I don't suppose you heard. A sleeper transmitter has just gone active in East Anglia. Sent 2 messages, first 2 weeks ago, but the second, soon after your Glasgow incident.
So he's already asked for a replacement disc?
And if you were still on the case, how would you track him down?
Well, we know he's at least one component short. I would start by working on the recent immigration records of all Soviet bloc citizens. Try to pick out the courier.
All right. I can get you those records. I'll have them brought round to your flat.
Okay. Just keep Harcourt Smith off my back.
Oh, he's much too busy working on his knighthood.
This guy is a real professional. Like, I mean, I've always, I liken the two parts. Like, Harry Palmer in Ipcress File was the sort of Woody Allen of spies, and John Preston in the Fourth Protocol is the Clint Eastwood of spies. I mean, he's a really tough, professional guy who are out there because I know them and I've met them.
Y tus trailers, visita mi canal.
I've played everything from transvestite maniacs to homosexual murderers to 17th century German mercenaries to Nazi officers in the Second World War. And people still say, oh, he's playing himself, you see. That's why he's so good at it.
He has a sort of innate wit which comes across and which livens the character up and which gives him an extra dimension. And a tremendous sort of sincerity. You know, he's a professional actor, but he has this wonderful ability to give things, give it a fresh sincerity. And so that he can, in fact, give things emotional depth, which this sort of part, which when it's written initially, say in a book form, is not really all. I mean, the story is the thing, the excitement of the story, the excitement of the chase. And while the characters, as characters of depth, is very secondary. So when you bring it to the screen, you've got to supply that other dimension, you know. And Michael brings that to it just with ease.
This guy's really moving.
I've known Michael for around 10 years. We never actually worked together. It was just social. I'd drop in on him if I was in California. Sometimes I'd see him in London. We'd go out and have dinner together. The opportunity never arose because he was never picked to star in the film version of any book I ever wrote. And when the manuscript of this particular book was still in my possession, before it was launched in hardback, I showed it to him. He said, could I read it? I said, yes. He read it. I said, what do you think? He said, I loved it. I said, what do you think about the role of John Preston, the hero of the story? And he said, I'd love to play that role. So I said, well, there's only one way of guaranteeing that you get to play the hero and I get to write the screenplay, and that's to co-produce it. So we decided to do just that.
He's one of the best storytellers in the world. And the other thing is, having been a journalist, he's a great researcher. And the research is absolutely correct. And unfortunately for the world, this story is about how to smuggle an atom bomb into a country.
I regard this report as alarmist, irresponsible, and supported by insufficient evidence.
Evidence? Can't you read? That metal disc can only be used as part of a trigger for an atom bomb.
That remains to be seen. Don't think I don't know what's going on, Preston. You're trying to worm your way back into favor by dreaming up some far-fetched drama, of which you yourself, naturally, are the hero.
Yeah, and you're kicking out anybody who doesn't make themselves available to kiss your armpit. But if you were to look at this thing straight, just for a moment, you might see that there is something going on out there.
As hunter and hunted, Michael Caine and Pierce Brosnan share very few scenes together, but both are naturally alarmed by the terrifying possibilities at the heart of Forsyth's dramatic story.
Yes, I mean, it does seem very simple if one can get these components to put an atomic bomb together. It's very relevant to the time we live in, and there's a lot of ugliness within it to think that we're talking about an atomic bomb or making a piece of drama about this atomic bomb situation, especially when the major countries of the world are armed and ready to go. But, you know, just a button has to be pressed. So it feels very relevant. It seems a good time for this piece to come out, be it that it's a dramatic story. And it's also very frightening as well, the thought of it when you let your imagination go.
Yeah, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. I said, well, we make this up for the movie. He says, no, that's it. That's what it is, and that's what it looks like. It's over there.
Over here, we have a 2-inch diameter rod, also uranium-235. Now, when the rod is rammed into the heart of the fissionable core, the mass of the two together rises beyond the critical threshold, and that's when things start to get exciting. The fissionable core would explode only if at the moment of criticality it's bombarded by a blizzard of neutrons, and the blizzard is created by the initiator, lithium and the polonium.
What is it that sends the plug down the tube into the mass?
Any old plastic explosive. I believe you know about that.
We used an expert in nuclear warfare, and in fact he and his own team both designed the bomb and created it for us. That bomb is accurate, I mean, in terms of size, in terms of shape, and in terms of detail. The only thing that is not accurate, of course, are the metals that we used as against the metals that you would require for an atomic bomb.
We don't show anything that would give anybody a lesson in how to do it, you know. But that unfortunately is the truth.
The secret agent Petrovsky, played by Brosnan, is later joined in England by a specialist in the construction of the lethal and small atomic device. She is portrayed by Joanna Cassidy.
Mrs. Vatanen, how was your journey from Finland?
Very comfortable, thank you. Mr. Ross.
Let me take your bags.
Irina Vasilievna of the Soviet Army Artillery Research Directorate.
Specializing in the design and construction of atomic shells, I know. Valerie Petrosky, how do you do?
How do you do?
Unfortunately, we have a problem, though. We're still missing one component.
We got your message.
I got the information I needed from a professor of nuclear engineering. He does it for a living. He designs them and builds them for a living. That's his profession. One of the things that surprised me about what he told me was that with the advance of technology, instead of becoming more complex and bigger, some types of nuclear bomb have become more basic and smaller. And I said, I want you to tell me about the basic small one. And he said, it has around 9 component parts. You need a mass of uranium, enriched uranium-235, which is small enough not to have reached critical level. You need another piece which, when blasted into the heart of the first piece, will create criticality. That means it starts to fizz, it starts to tear itself apart, but too slowly to make an explosion. Then you need an initiator, which is a kind of trigger. And that's created out of 2 types of element, lithium and polonium. You smash them together so hard, they fuse. And in fusing, they let loose a blizzard of neutrons. That blizzard of neutrons bombards the disintegrating uranium, tearing the uranium atoms apart at an accelerated speed, and in 1/1,000,000th of a second, you have a nuclear explosion. Outside of that, you need plastic explosive, detonator, and a steel tamper or shield to hold the explosion inside the bomb itself for that 1/1,000,000th of a second. That's all you need. And then it just, you don't look for clues because, there's nothing left. And suitcase sized nowadays.
The materials that are detailed in the bomb are very, very hard to come by and restricted by all countries that are fabricating them. And I don't think it would be possible, even in the wildest imagination, at this stage of our history, for people to buy that material or steal it or to get it from any source. I hope not.
You think back to Hiroshima, the Enola Gay carried a thing the size of a small room. Today you're talking something the size of a big typewriter. And yes, you can assemble the component parts in one place, put the device together, trigger it, set it to go off 2 hours after you've left the country and let it go. And there is no way that the victims would have a 4-minute warning or radar alert or interception of an incoming missile or be able to identify the perpetrator. It's just nothing, just bang. And it can be in a city block or a bedsitter apartment, basement somewhere in small town America. I mean, wherever you want to let it go, you can let it go. What you do need are the component parts. And the only people who could make the component parts to those levels of precision would be a government laboratory with a nuclear capability. So you're talking there about 6 governments in the world who could do it. That's why it's banned.
How big is this bomb going to be?
1.5 kilotons. Should devastate about 2 square miles.
That's a lot of damage.
I imagine it'll kill somewhere between 2,000 and 5,000 people.
I'm a great believer in realism, but I'm an even greater believer in dramatic intensity. And that has to always come first, And there may be times when one would say, this character, the SES, would do something slightly different from that, in a sense. And in a real situation, if they were coming from helicopters, they might jump down from them instead of getting out of them, things like that. But so I tend to treat that sort of realism just with caution. It must fit the drama. And there's a sort of truth about things which is not necessarily the actual thing that is done. There's a truthful way to do it, which the audience, as long as the audience don't sense a phoniness or are disturbed by it, then I think that is enough, and that is more important than anything else.
Mike! Go! This is Tráilers. Visita mi canal.
What you do is you don't research like his background, you research the attitude. They have a very special attitude. They're like, if you could imagine, really highly trained investigators. If you talk to one, real one, you would note, you didn't know what he did, you would notice something very strange about him. And that is he keeps watching you all the time, and he's watching every flicker of your eye, and if your hands move, it just drops down and up. And these guys really hone in on you. Even in normal conversation, they can't help it. And they just watch, and then you'll see their eyes, they flick. Ordinary human being, he just turns his head, what's that over there? They don't, they just go. And they're trained down to minutest detail, and they never show anything on their own face.
You've jumped out of there, I've done that shot, so I'll start you here. This is, what happens is Banks stands here watching you, so I'm really his point of view.
Yeah. I like doing this sort of tough movies now and then, because when you're doing comedy, basically you're probably a wimp if you're going to get, things are going to go wrong. In these, everything goes right for you in the end, and you're really expert at doing whatever it is, fighting, shooting, whatever. So I like that now and then, and just to be tough for a while is great.
During the filming of this exciting sequence, the company received a royal visitor, Prince Michael of Kent, perhaps somewhat confused by the activities of a film unit at work. But Michael Caine was on hand to explain some of the complexities of movie making.
4 or 10 times, it's not quite as glamorous as it seems. Stick to the premiers.
Team Blue exhaust rate.
Who signed for this van?
You did.